From ancient Roman Bacchanalia to the field of the cloth of gold, here's a list of the history's most epic bashes. Number 1. The Ball of the Burning Man brought new meaning to the phrase killer party. On January 28, 1393, the French Queen Isabeau of Bavaria hosted a lavish banquet at Paris's Hotel Saint-Paul to celebrate the marriage of one of her maids-in-waiting. The highlight of the evening was supposed to be a dance involving King Charles VI and 5 nobles, each of whom was clad in a woodland wild man costume made from linen and flax and oakum fibers. Shortly after Charles and his men began their routine, however, the king's brother, the Duke of Orleans, arrived and drunkenly approached the dancers with a lit torch. When he moved too close, he accidentally ignited one of their resin-covered costumes, triggering a blaze that instantly spread to the rest of the group. King Charles avoided injury only after a quick-thinking aunt covered him with her skirt. Another man saved himself by diving into a tankard of wine, but 4 other dancers were engulfed in flames and died. Number 2. Few civilizations knew how to tie one on better than the Egyptians. According to archaeological research at the Temple of Mut in Luxor, the ancient inhabitants of the Nile River Valley had a raucous festival of drunkenness that occurred at least once per year during the 15th century BC, reign of Hatshepsut. The celebration had a religious component. It was inspired by a myth about a bloodthirsty warrior goddess named Sekhmet, who nearly destroyed mankind before drinking too much beer and passing out, and the festivities played out as a massive, debauched party. To reenact their salvation, the Egyptians would spend a wild evening dancing to music, engaging in casual sex and drinking themselves into a stupor with mug after mug of frothy beer. The festivities only ended the next morning, when the thousands of dazed, hungover revelers were woken by the sound of drum players. Number 3. Andrew Jackson's first inauguration almost killed him. Presidential inaugurations are typically state affairs, but the March 4, 1829, swearing in of Andrew Jackson nearly turned into a drunken disaster. After giving his inauguration speech, Old Hickory retired to the White House, which was hosting an open reception to allow the public to greet their new commander-in-chief. Before long, the executive mansion was crammed with thousands of rowdy well-wishers, some of whom climbed atop furniture and knocked over glassware in their struggle to catch a glimpse of the celebrity president. When Jackson's staff tried to control the rabble by serving alcoholic refreshments, the scene only grew worse. The chaos abated after the tubs of whiskey punch were moved to the White House lawn, but Jackson was forced to flee to a nearby hotel to avoid being crushed by his supporters. Number 4. Roman Bacchanalia were secretive cultic parties that may have been orgies. Scholars still debate what went on at the Bacchanalia, Rome's cultic celebrations of the wine god Bacchus, but if the historian Livy is to be believed, they were some of the ancient world's most decadent parties. When wine, lascivious discourse, night, and the intercourse of the sexes had extinguished every sentiment of modesty, he wrote of the secretive meetings, then debaucheries of every kind began to be practiced. Bacchanalia first came to Rome via Greece, and they reached their peak sometime in the 2nd century BC. When their initiates included people from every strata of society. Members of the cults would reportedly gather in private homes, or in woodland groves for all-night orgies of dancing, animal sacrifice, feasting, and drinking. Details of the rites are sketchy at best. Livy claims they may have also involved murders and poisonings, but there's no doubt that they scandalized certain factions of Roman society. Fueled by rumors of the excess that occurred at the Bacchanalia, the Roman Senate famously voted to suppress the celebrations in 186 BC. Number 5. The field of the cloth of gold was a Renaissance study in royal one-upmanship. When King Henry VIII of England and King Francis I of France hosted a joint summit in 1520 in a valley near Calais, they were supposed to be nurturing friendly relations between their two nations. What happened instead was a competition in party form. For 2.5 weeks, the royals attempted to upstage and outspend one another by hosting a spree of drinking, jousting, archery, and feasting. The banquets featured elaborate tents and pavilions, meat from over 4,000 lambs, calves and oxen, and fountains that spewed wine. The highlight of the bender came near its conclusion when the two royals squared off in an impromptu wrestling match. Despite its steep price tag, it supposedly drained both nations' treasuries. The party failed to initiate an era of good feelings. By 1521, England and France were once again on opposite sides of a war. Which event was your favorite? Share your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video and learned something new, make sure to subscribe for more. Goodbye, everyone.